morning, everybody. Pope Binary here, and today I'm going to go over a price action lesson that I have not covered yet, and that is how to identify trend lines. There's a thing out there called moving averages, and these help you identify what a trend is, but today I'm specifically just going to cover a raw price action lesson, and I think you guys are going to find it really informative and useful in your own trading. So before we jump in, here's the quote of the day. Nowhere does history indulge in repetition so often or as uniformly as in Wall Street. That's from Jesse Livermore. So here's how to identify trend lines. Okay, guys, we just jumped into the good old freestockcharts.com here. This is a great website if you're looking for, just some free software or whatever. All right, so what we're going to do now is I want you guys to just look at the direction of this market right now. If you have a pair of eyeballs, you could tell me over here, right here, that the market is clearly moving downwards, right? That's pretty straightforward. Now, the next thing I want you guys to notice is, I've covered this in the past, but a true trend never just spikes and then goes flat. It goes down, and then it comes back up, goes down, then comes back up, and so on and so forth. Now, in order to identify trend lines, they're extremely simple. What I want you guys to do is, and feel free to play along with your own charts if you want to try this out. But if you think you've identified a trend, you want to look for the breakout candle. So we can see over here on the left, there's a huge bearish engulfing candle. That's where the trend starts. So right now, I'm going to place a point. And I don't know if you can see, I just placed a point right here. This is where the trend starts. Now, the next thing you want to watch for when you're watching for a trend line is you want to see how the market reacts, okay? So you see the market come down, comes back up, then it comes down here. This is a double bottom before the market rallies back up, and then there's a strong pin candle here before the market continues to plummet. So what you do is you take that trend line and you would draw a line just like this right across it, right? Because this is where the body of the candles are, right? So the market and this is where the trend lines get tricky. Sometimes you want to draw the point A to point B. Sometimes you want to draw it at the top of the wick. Sometimes you want to draw it at the bottom of the wick. It all depends, but for the sake of this lesson, I drew it at the body of the wick, so that way I could illustrate to you guys right here. You can see that the market fell away, bounced back up, and perfectly bounced off this trend line with a huge engulfing bearish candle before the market just absolutely crashed downwards. Right, and likewise the market it kind of came back up to this line. You could even alter this line to say that this is the new trend line, if that makes sense. Really go down to the body of the candles over here, and you can see that on this trend line, this altered trend line I just made, the market came up, bounced off, came down, bounced up, bounced off, and so on so forth. And now another thing I want you guys to know is if you take the exact same line and draw a parallel line, but for the sake of this lesson, I'm just going to move the same line. You can move it downwards, and you want to try and find a fit for where the same exact pattern occurs. So likewise, I'm just going to draw the same exact line that I just made for you guys, right? And we can see these are just two parallel lines right here. These are the trend lines, okay? And so long as the market stays within this trending area, it's considered in a bearish trend. The only thing that stops a trend from forming is either the market goes flat, in which case the market would obviously not be trending anymore, or there's a huge spike outside of the trend, and that signifies that in this case the bulls have had enough and it's time to start buying back the market that's been oversold, right? And so that's all a trend line is. It's very straightforward and it's very simple, right? And so I like to keep it real with you guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to shuffle through some random charts here. Let me see if I can get some good examples for you guys. But like I said, there's trend lines everywhere. There's a good trend over here. Let me see if I can show y'all. Check that out. That is a beautiful pin candle. Sorry, I got a little distracted. If you haven't seen my other video about pin candles, that is a textbook pin candle that formed. Like I said, these patterns repeat themselves over and over and over, and like my boy Jesse Livermore said at the beginning of this video, nowhere does history repeat itself as much in Wall Street. Check out that video. That is a beautiful pin candle. But now that I've got my my little nerdgasm out of the way, I'm just going to draw some more trend lines for you guys. So as we can see right here, there's a clear upward trend. So what you do is you start at the breakout of the trend, and I would like to argue I'm going to place a point right here at this value, because as we can see, the market had been extremely bearish. It hit resistance, it continued being bearish, and then the market, it tried to rally upwards, it hit resistance, and then there was a series of 4 or 5 bullish candles right here. This is the true start of the trend, in my opinion. So like I said, all you do is you wait for the market to come up, and then you wait for the first bounce off, and then you wait for a really strong bullish confirmation. And I'll get into this in a few more examples, but all you need to know is that if a market bounce, the first bounce off a trend line is not very reliable. And you'll see what I mean, because likewise, we could have said that, you see how the market bounced off right here? We could have said that this was the trend line, or we could have said that that was the trend line, or we could have said that this was the trend line. We don't know which one is the right trend line until it actually happens, right? And so, like I said, this was the first bounce off. You draw point A to point B, where the first significant pullback happened, and as we can see, the market just skyrocketed upwards after this, and then the market came back down. And if you had already drawn in this line, you would have seen that the market reacted beautifully off this trend line, right? It came down, and then there was a huge bullish engulfing candle. And since this is the 10-minute time frame, you could have placed an hourly or 3-hour expiration. The market just skyrocketed upwards. And like I said, all you do to draw the upper band is you take the same exact line and you try and find a fit somewhere. And so I'm going to put a fit right there, because we can see the market bounced off over here on this first candle, and then it bounced off here, and then it came back up, and then we can see it was a beautiful reaction. And so I'm just, like I said, just going to draw the same exact line that I just drew for you guys 2 seconds ago, and we can just see that it is a beautiful trend right there. And like I said, the only thing that broke the trend was a huge engulfing candle, and then the market tried to come back into the zone before just ultimately falling away, and then it hit a resistance zone and then bounced back up to the trend line. Okay, so that's another example. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cycle through a bunch of charts. Hope to show you all some more examples. At this point, I hope you guys already get the gist of the video. I'm just going to try and show you all through examples, some more good examples. And another thing you need to know is don't be afraid to draw some extremely steep trend lines like this. This is a trend line. While it's really steep, we can see it bounced off this value right here. It bounced off the trend line, and then the market eventually, we can see it pushed up to the trend line. There's some resistance here before a bullish candle broke out, and then we're on a bullish rally for the next couple hours or so. And so I'm gonna draw some more examples here. Here's some more. I'm just literally just cycling through the charts here. The trend started here. We can see there's a bullish breakout candle, and so you wait for the first real pullback, and you could argue that it was this candle right here, because we can see it hit resistance, and then it continued upward, then it bounced off again, and then there was a huge bearish double top engulfing candle that broke outside, and then it continued on. Likewise, you could also make the argument that there was a trend line right here, although this is not as strong a trend line I found. And man, look at that. Check out the beautiful, here's another price action lesson for you guys, bonus lesson. See right here how there's just an absolute beautiful at this horizontal line, support and resistance. The market hit here, bounced off, hit here, bounced off, hit here, bounced off. That is a fantastic example. And so let me see if I can get some more trend lines for you guys. Here's another great example. We'll start at the breakout right here. This is the bearish breakout, and here's a nice clean trend line that formed, and we can see the market, it came up, tried to break outside the trend line, bearish candle pushed it back inside before the market continued to break out, and then the market continued to fall. You could also make the argument that this was the real trend, and so like I said, these trend lines, they're really like on the fly, if that makes sense. You notice how I'm moving it a lot. It's because while you're watching these charts live, you really have to change the trend lines. Don't stick with a rigid trend line unless it's just a beautiful trend. And another thing I want to do here is I'm going to jump into an hourly time trade. So if you trade like the dailies, you can use like hourly charts to identify trends. And so let me see if I can get another clean example for you guys. Obviously, there's a clean trend here over here on the right. You could say that the breakout was right here, so you could say that this is a trend, right? So then you would take the same exact line, try and find a fit down here, and we can see the market literally bounced off the same exact values. Bam, right? And then a bearish candle broke outside, and then the trend got even more negative. So what you do is you try and find another fit. So you'd start here where the trend got even more to the bear side, and that would be the new trend line. And likewise, you would take the same exact line, draw a parallel, and you could see that the market, while this is not a clean fit, you could see that the market, it bounced off this value. And this orange line is a major resistance point. That's a daily low. And so these are just the trend lines that you guys need to watch out for. Feel free. What I want you guys to do now is I want you guys to just go in your own charting software, try and draw these on your own, because price action is the single-handedly best indicator out there, right? And there's all sorts of trend lines all the time. I'm gonna try and get one more real clean example for you guys before I close this video out. You can see a trend started here. That was the first major pullback, and like I said, you would take the parallel line, try and find a fit on the upper band, and we can see right there. There's a beautiful fit. There's a huge pin candle, bounced off, went crashing downwards, came up, bounced off, went up, bounced off, and then so on and so forth. So those are trend lines. If you found anything in this video helpful or useful, please like and subscribe, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Pope Binary out.